So it looks like Texas attorney Tony Buzbee has now found himself in the hot seat. And I can't say that I'm surprised. So apparently, an anonymous male celebrity has filed an extortion lawsuit against Mr. Buzbee and against attorney representing Sean Combs' accusers. Yes, against Mr. Buzby, who is representing accusers of Sean Diddy Combs in various civil suits, about 120 at this point. But he has put out a 1-800 number and he has received, at this point, I'm sure, over 5,000 or more replies because a month or two ago he had received 3,000 replies. And I imagine he keeps receiving replies, but he has only filed 120 lawsuits, and an anonymous male celebrity has now sued him for extortion. So, according to CNN, where I'm reading right now, it says an anonymous male celebrity says he is the victim of an extortion scheme and is suing a high powered Texas attorney who is representing several people in civil lawsuits that accuse Sean Diddy Combs of sexual assault. The unnamed plaintiff described in the lawsuit is a celebrity and public figure who resides in Los Angeles. He filed his complaint under a John Doe pseudonym this week in Los Angeles Superior Court. He has accused Houston-based attorney Tony Buzbee and his firm of shamelessly attempting to extort exorbitant sums from him or else publicly file wildly false, horrific allegations against him. So it says here, a spokesperson for Quinn Emanuel, the law firm representing John Doe, confirms that the complaint was filed on Monday. I am not surprised because I did a video a couple of days ago. I had my own concerns for some time now, and then I saw this YouTube video by this attorney named Bruce Rivers. He has a very, very huge following, over 1 million subscribers on his YouTube channel. He's a criminal law attorney, defense attorney, so he knows what he's talking about. And I was watching him this week, and he was raising some concerns about the tactics used by this attorney, Tony Buzbee. And he even said that he wouldn't be surprised if one of these celebrities filed an extortion claim against Mr. Buzbee. I guess he might have heard something, which is why, because literally a day after he said that, the lawsuit dropped. It dropped yesterday or the day before. I wasn't able to get to it because I find that there's so many different stories on any given day, which is why newspapers have many different editors and reporters and journalists, because you can't have one person looking at all these different things. So I've sort of like found myself almost overwhelmed with stories, and so it's sometimes it's so much that I don't know which one to do, so then I just end up not doing anything because it's just so overwhelming. But I do want to try to, as I said, branch out from my usual Harry and Meghan coverage, continuing to cover relevant Harry and Meghan stories, but not to be so um, you know, every day the nonsense coming out of the UK press, the bottom feeding articles, because I'm not really learning anything. It's really almost insulting to my intelligence, a lot of this stuff. So I figured I'd branch out a little bit to law, like some legal cases of interest to me, and politics as well, even though in both of these areas, obviously, I'm a neophyte. I'm a novice. I have no idea. So this is all just my opinion. Take everything with a grain of salt. Don't quote me on any of it. That kind of stuff, right? So here I find myself with this Buzby story a couple of days ago. Didn't get to it until today. And I heard this guy, Bruce Rivers, talking about it, but he was really only reaffirming my own thoughts about this guy, Tony Buzbee. From the very beginning, I just got a sort of icky feeling about what he was doing. The 1-800 number, the constant press conferences, the parading of these women on television talking about all this graphic stuff that, Diddy allegedly did to them. And none of these people ever filed, to my understanding anyway, a criminal suit against this man or made a police report to say that these things happened, right? And all they seem concerned about now is bounty hunting or bounty bounty hunting, where it's just like money, 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 ka-ching, 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 ka-ching. For me, this is a red flag, right? And something about it rings icky. It's just icky, And I'm like, were you really assaulted by this person, or do you just see an opportunity to make a lot of money from someone who has been incarcerated on certain charges that are very, very, to be honest, very salacious, very filthy, very provocative, and shameful, embarrassing, reputation destroying, etc., etc. So is that why you're jumping on the bandwagon, or did you genuinely have a situation happen to you, right? Because when you tell me that you were 10 years old when this happened to you and you have parents and there's no police report from a parent that said my son came home in pain and he was bleeding. I mean, if a grown man does that to a child or even to an adult, I would think, there's going to be some consequences, right? So when none of that happened, and now you're coming years later with these filthy stories, I don't know. But anyway, I can't say it happened or it didn't happen. I'm just saying it's a red flag when all you're doing, it seems to me, is going after money. And so this attorney in Houston, Texas, sending out all of these letters to these celebrities who are friends with Diddy. So, okay, so you went to a party, Paris Hilton was at the party, Ashton Kutcher was at the party, Denzel Washington was at the party, this, that, and that was at the party. And apparently there are two parties. There's the party and then there's the after party. And so you were at the party, you were photographed with this guy, so you're guilty by association. I mean, no one's saying that about Garth Brooks and his friends. I just get a little bit, skeptical. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just a little bit skeptical of the whole thing. So when I heard Bruce Rivers echoing some of my own concerns, I was like, oh, okay, I'm not wrong. And then within 24 hours, this John Doe lawsuit drops in Los Angeles Superior Court, where you have this celebrity who's filed anonymously claiming that the Buzby firm is trying to capitalize off the explosive allegations against Sean Combs by roping in public figures who have been acquainted with Combs. And, if this is true, if this is proven to be true, then this guy Buzby could find himself in some trouble, whether it's just civil trouble where he has to pay sanctions or whatever, or maybe it could be as simple as cease and desist, or it could be money damages, or it could be criminal charges filed against him, because you can't just shake people down for money in this way, I don't think. But he has countered by saying, if you are trying to hide your identity and you claim you did nothing wrong, doesn't seem very smart to take this approach. Buzby told CNN in an email on Monday, we will address it in due course, because he wants to shame these people. I mean, can you imagine someone makes that kind of allegations against anybody? Let's say it's against you, whoever you are listening, out of the blue. They make this allegation. I mean, nobody wants their face associated with this kind of filth. Nobody, whether they're innocent or guilty. No one. And you know that. So trying to force someone to come out and put their face to something which they're saying is false, and it seems like you have no proof, because if you did, just file the doggone lawsuit already. File it, right? Don't threaten, just file. If you have all the proof and a strong case, as you say that you do, other than somebody's word that something happened 30 years ago, he said, she said, right? So why should they show their face just to appease you and the others out there casting stones, right? Without any proof. I don't like this kind of stuff. I don't like this kind of stuff. As I've said, Sean Combs doesn't appear to be an innocent man in the sense of, he's just nice gentleman who who's kind to women. He beat his girlfriend. He beats his women. I have no respect for that, and I have no respect for men who do that. But he's not charged with domestic violence here. He's charged with racketeering and a whole bunch of other things. And I want to see the evidence that the prosecution has before I jump on the bandwagon to say lock him up and throw away the key. As for all of these other civil cases, it just seems like a whole big fat bounty hunt, in my opinion, right? Because why didn't y'all file criminal charges way back when all of this happened, especially with these minors that you're claiming were assaulted by a grown man in this way, young boys especially? Why didn't you file criminal charges?